episode, I wanted to talk about why meaningful work is so important. You know, we live in a world where work is often seen as something painful, something you do before you do the things that you really love to do. And I really believe that while it's a completely understandable approach, because so many jobs that people have these days, or other work situations that they find themselves in, really, suck. They really do. I don't think it makes sense to throw out the baby with the bathwater. So that's really what this episode is about. I want to help you differentiate the baby and the bathwater so that you can get rid of all the dirty bathwater while, keeping that beautiful baby of yours that's your workforce that you can use to do something good and something that helps you feel good about yourself and that also helps others. So let's jump right in. The first thing I want to cover is why meaningful work is so important. And there are a couple of reasons. One is the time spent. There are some calculations on how much time we spend on average in our lives working. So some calculations say it's 80,000 hours, some say it's more. And it doesn't really matter that much. I think we can all agree that even 80,000 hours is a lot of time. And if you work a 40-hour week, chances are that you actually spend more time at work than doing anything else except perhaps sleeping. So from the perspective of time alone, we can see that work can be such a profound, source of doing something meaningful. If even 50% of those 40 hours, of those 80,000 hours over lifetime are spent doing something meaningful, that's a lot of time. And of course, for most people, that's really not the reality. So when I'm talking about the highest potential, again, I'm talking about the baby, not the bathwater. So one of the reasons why meaningful work is so important is because we spend so much time at work. The other reason is that work is in general, is such a profound opportunity to get things that we want. We do want to contribute. We want to grow. We want to self-actualize. And work is a great way of doing that. In fact, one of the authors that I really admire, Viktor Frankl, who is the founder of logotherapy and a therapist who found himself in a concentration camp and then wrote about that experience in a book called Man's Search for Meaning. He said that work and love are two of the main ways in which people find meaning in the world. The third one, by the way, is inescapable suffering. And I'm bound to believe that if someone has been through the situation that he has been through, then his, belief systems and his theories about how the world works have been battle tested. And so I believe that alongside with love, work is so amazing and we can derive so much meaning from that. And of course, we do want meaning in our lives. So those are the reasons why I think that meaningful work is so important. And now let me move on to why I think it's so challenging for so many people to have that. And the first thing I want to share is that it's probably not you and it's probably not your own fault if you don't have that in your life. I think the way our world is currently set up doesn't really support meaningful work that much. If we look at a lot of the jobs that provide a lot of meaning, like school teachers, nurses, basically professions where you actually get to help people, often they don't get paid that well. Whereas you could be, like a tax lawyer, and nothing against tax lawyers, right? I have a legal background myself. I could just imagine that there are things that may be more fulfilling for most people, not for all, but for most people, than providing, legal tax advice. So there is something that I call the money or meaning dilemma, where in our society, often people feel like they have to choose between money or meaning. And because most people, are not financially independent, which, makes sense, given that the majority of people don't have, like rich parents or an inheritance or like a life partner that supports them or whatever it is. So we need to pay our bills. And then it often comes down to the choice of, well, do you want money or meaning in your life? Hey, can I have both, please? And we also don't see a lot of good role models in the world for those who bring money or meaning together. And that's basically the situation we're in. We're in a situation where meaningful work is so important, and people who don't have it, like report how they feel on Mondays, and, maybe their relationships are suffering, maybe their well-being is suffering, and they may go through, basically like an existential crisis and think that they're not contributing anything meaningful to society. And at the same time, because of how our culture and society functions, it's often very hard to get to a different place, because you first almost need to go against what is often presented to us as success. Perhaps success is not climbing to the top of the corporate ladder and, having that huge expensive house that you're never in anyway because you spend too much time in your corner office. But hey, you do have a corner office, so good for you, right? So I think one takeaway from this is to really start redefining success, and to not only look at outward success. So Tony Robbins had a quote that I really liked, and it was, "Outside achievement without internal fulfillment is the ultimate failure." And I think that's so true. Because if you get to a place where you're supposed to have it all, and you're unhappy and you're unfulfilled with your life, that, like when I talk to people in that place, that's really rough. Because you're like, wow, I've done everything I was supposed to do, and this is where it got me? Really? Are you kidding me? So, I hope you got something out of these reflections, and I'd really love to hear from you how you experience this topic. Now, I understand that this is a very sensitive topic, so you're always welcome to comment. And if you would rather send me a private message, you can always go to www.workyourlovecoach.com/contact and, just tell me your experience with meaningful work and with how you're struggling about it. I'd really love to have a conversation with you about that. And if you want to hear more about my own experience with that, maybe to see where I'm coming from and why I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm going to link to a video where I describe my own journey with that. Yeah, so please let me know how this whole topic resonates within you, and I'd love to hear from you. Bye. If you want to find out more about my journey to having work I love, please click on the link to this video. I look forward to seeing you there. Bye.